You are listening to Lesson 1, Chapter 1 of Form 5 African History. Cameroon General Education. Narrated by Wacheseh Academy. The growth of nationalism in Belgian Congo/the Congo Crisis. Congo was a formal Belgian colony that gained independence on June 30, 1960, with Patrice Lumumba as Prime Minister and Joseph Kasavubu as President. Reasons for the delay in the decolonization of Congo. The Belgian colonial administration restricted education to the primary level. There were few secondary schools. Only one university opened in 1954, and consequently, by independence in 1960, Congo had about 30 university graduates, and most of them were Reverend Fathers. The late development of a professional class of educated and seasoned politicians to lead the masses. The Belgian restricted the formation of anti-colonial pressure groups and parties before 1957, hence it was difficult to mobilize the people. The Belgians restricted the formation of clubs or social grouping before 1957, making it difficult for intellectuals to come together against Belgian colonialism. The Belgians restricted the formation of trade unions, and that made it difficult for workers to come together against the low wages, etc. The Belgians flattered the elites with good wages and diverted their attention from politics. Congo was a very vast territory. It was not easy to move around and sensitize the people against colonialism. The Belgians adopted racial segregation that kept the natives far from them, thus the natives regard them for a long time as demigods. The Congolese lacked international exposure like the other British and French colonies that participated in the Second World War and saw the weaknesses of Europeans. Congo, with a population of 15 million people, had about 150 different tribes. Tribalism and regionalism were very strong, and that hindered the format of a national party to mobilize the people towards independence. Reasons for the growth of Congolese nationalism in the 1950s. Internal factors. The level of education in Congo improved in the 1950s. The level of awareness of the evils of colonialism increased, and the rise of radical elites like Lumumba, Kasavubu, Chombe, etc. wanted immediate independence. The lifting of the ban on political activities by 1959 and civil liberties tolerated, such as freedom of speech, press, etc., encouraged anti-colonial struggle. The formation of political parties like MINC led by Lumumba, Abako by Kasavubu, Konakat by Chombe, etc., helped mobilize people against colonialism. The economic power of the Congolese increased in the 1950s as they found jobs in the plantations, mining companies, etc., which helped finance anti-colonial struggles. The influence of the Catholic Church became critical of colonial policies in Congo. It encouraged the Congolese to revolt for participation in the affairs of their country. Determination of people to put an end to racial insults, such as "you dirty ape," "dogs nor blacks not allowed in front of recreational centers," etc. To put an end to Belgian economic exploitation. Promises made by the politicians, especially by Lumumba, on the benefits of independence, such as village huts will be replaced by skyscrapers, bicycles by cars, etc. External factors. The defeat and humiliation the Belgians suffered in the Second World War weakened their control over Congo. The Brazzaville Conference of 1944, which promised colonial reforms such as the abolition of indigenate, prestation, improvement of social and economic condition, etc., not far from Congo, also increased their appetite for reforms. The anti-colonial pressure mounted by the UNO gave them encouragement. The anti-colonial pressure mounted by the superpowers, especially USSR, assisted Lumumba in the anti-colonial struggle. Political development in other African countries, such as the British Africanization of the civil service in Gold Coast and the preparation towards self-government. The French carried out constitutional reforms after 1946. Development of neighboring French Congo-Brazzaville. Lumumba told a friend how he served a glass of mineral water in a recreational center by a white, hence the fact that the French did not practice racism encouraged them to fight against the Belgian racists in Congo. The Belgians carried out political development in their UN Trust territory of Rwanda-Urundi, leading to popular elections in 1956 negating Congo. They encouraged colonial pressure against Belgian colonialism. General de Gaulle's visit to Congo-Brazzaville in August 1958, in which he promised total independence or independence within the French community, strongly encouraged the Congolese to mount pressure on the Belgians for independence. Practice Lumumba attended the Pan-African Congress in Accra in December 1958 and received a lot of moral and material assistance from Nkrumah. Stages leading to the independence of Congo. The July-August 1956 Conscience Africaine Manifesto supported Van Nilsen's plan of progressive advancement towards independence in 30 years. The Counter-Manifesto against Conscience Africaine by Abako in August 1956 rejected the 30 years period and called for immediate steps towards independence. The municipal elections of 1957, in which African parties contested and became mayors. Kasavubu became mayor of Leopoldville. In the Brussels exhibition of May-October 1958, the African politicians in the Congo presented a common front to the Belgian authorities on decolonization. The anti-colonial riots of 1959 forced the Belgians to accelerate the independence of the territory. In the Brussels Round Table Conference of January 1960, independence formalities were worked out, though they did not solve the problems of federalism or unitary system, and the powers of the president and prime minister were not well defined. It was agreed that independence would be granted in June 1960. General elections took place in May 1960 with no party winning the absolute majority. The MNC led by Lumumba won the largest number of seats in the National Assembly. On June 23, 1960, the Chamber of Representatives and the Senate approved the formation of the first Congolese government, headed by Patrice Lumumba. On June 24, 1960, the two chambers sitting again elected Joseph Kasavubu, leader of the Abako, as head of state or president. On June 30, Congo achieved its independence. King Baudouin of Belgium attended the ceremony after one-sided praises of Belgian achievements. Lumumba in his speech told him, "We are no longer your monkeys.